Well, hello guys, welcome to this very self-explanatory video. I'm going to get straight into it. Before I actually go into the warm-up arena, I do a lot of walking around the showgrounds, generally on their back, but also when I get to the show, I lead them around before I get into the warm-up arena, and then pretty much straight away I start trotting because often there's a lot of people in there and it's just a bit of a mess, so you don't really want to be just walking and dawdling around. Usually we go into the warm-up arena in Australia with only 3 or 4 other horses, or no, more like 2 or 3 other horses in the ring as well as you. So I get in there and do a lot of trot around and a lot of transitions. Pretty much in everything, transitions are always your friend because it gets a horse listening to you. As you can see here, I'm doing a transition to halt and then a transition upwards into canter from the walk. I do a lot of these before I go into the ring or I start jumping because I just like getting the horses listening to me as much as they can, and this is the way that I've always been taught to do it from pretty much every single trainer. And then you can see here I'm doing a fair bit of canter work, just getting him sitting back and listening to me and in a rhythm, because that is probably the most important thing when it comes to jumping and getting distances, is a rhythm in your canter. And you can see Jerry is quite excited here. This is the first time back jumping since I think January, because he had that terrible abscess and, oh no, it wouldn't have been February or something. Anyway. So you can see I'm getting off his back a bit, and then you'll see I start to, well, first I ask for a change, and because Jerry is more established with his changes, I'll do a couple in the warm-up. Usually I don't do more than 2 though, like 1 either way with Jerry though, because he gets a bit bouncy and just kind of bronchi, I guess you could say. I don't know. And then you can see here I'm asking him to go forward and then asking him to sit, and then once again asking him to go forward, and I do that either way because I just want him getting off my leg. Then you can see I trot my first fence, which is pretty much what I always do in the warm-up arena, and oh, his change is so flamboyant. And then I'll start to canter my cross rail. So this is always the setup for a warm-up arena in my state. There will always be generally a cross rail and then a vertical and an oxer, but then sometimes we also may not have 3 fences, we might only have 2, so you have to change it up between the cross rail and the vertical. And so that can be really hard to do if you're at the show alone. So ideally you have someone out there doing the fences for you, but I very rarely do because no one in my life is really that horsey that takes me to events. So they are a bit scared of warm-up arenas, to be honest. It doesn't help. So yeah, as you can see, I'm just kind of going over each of the fences. This is what I typically do with Jerry because he takes a lot longer than Dexter to get into a rhythm. So I have to do each of the fences pretty much from both ways, just getting him into his rhythm, into his jump, and not getting really weird distances. Then I'll have the fences typically go up a couple of holes to the height that I'm doing, and then I'll start doing this angling of the vertical, which is what my trainer has taught me to do because it helps them pick up both of their knees and kind of become more aware of where their knees are. And then I will go over the larger oxer, and then I'll kind of push him into the larger oxer and kind of dare him, with quotation marks, dare him at the front rail and see if he'll have it down. And so he has to use himself more to get up, and then that is where I go straight into the ring. Now you can also see what I do with Dexter. This is what I do with a more established show jumper, which is Dex. He is not more established than Jerry. Like, Jerry has a lot more experience, obviously. I've been riding him for a lot longer and competing him in show jumping and eventing for longer, but Dexter is just far superior in how he jumps and his technique and everything like that. Like, no offense to Jerry, he's very cute and loves to jump and absolutely loves his job, but he he is not that great at jumping. As you can see, Dexter was just spooking at those barrels, so anything spooky around the warm-up arena or the ring, I will always show it to Dexter, because he is just that type of horse that he really likes to assess things before he goes near them. So whenever there's a Liverpool or a spooky jump or anything, I always go and show it to him, because he has been known to do a Liverpool one direction and then I've asked him to do it from the other direction and he's been like, what is that? Even though he saw it from that direction. So as you can see, once again, I'm doing a lot of transitions into halt and then back into trot, just getting him listening and back. And then typically I always go straight into the canter from a walk transition, because I just find that gets them a lot more on the job, because it's a slightly more difficult thing to ask for. And then I'll just canter in both directions, just kind of calm him down. Although I got him far too calm this day, because once again, I think because Jerry was so feisty, I was holding Dexter a little bit too much. I also just decided to show both of them because I thought it was interesting for you guys to see how I ride the two horses differently. Because yeah, I look quite different on the two, and that's just because they are obviously different to ride, and different temperaments and different pretty much everything, except they're the same colour. That's the only thing that's similar pretty much about these two. As you can see, I do the same sort of thing, just do the vertical and then I'll do it on an angle, just get him lifting each knee up individually. Now you can see here I let Dexter stop and rub his head on his knee, and that is because he has head shaker syndrome. So I always pretty much do this before I go into the ring, so that he is feeling as comfortable as he can be, because it's kind of a bit ticklish around his nose when they have head shaker syndrome. So that helps and gets him more on the job. So then you can see I'm angling the vertical a fair bit here and getting him lifting his knees up, as I said, and then going for the oxer. And once again, I'll just kind of push him forward and ideally get the deep spot, so he has to use himself a fair amount to get over it. Now with Dexter, I don't jump him nearly as much as Jerry, or at least this day I didn't jump him nearly as much as Jerry in the warm-up, because as I said before, he's just very natural with what he does while jumping, so it's not something that I need to ask a lot for or push him or put it up too high or anything, because in the ring he really gets on the job. Now you can see here I'm just trotting him around. This is how I cool all my horses down after their course, because I'm an eventer and eventers typically really look after their horses' legs, because eventing can be really demanding for horses and their joints and everything, so we all get a bit paranoid. So I always do this with Dex, because I want him to be the soundest little guy in the show jump arena for many years to come. So that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed this and you have a few tips for your next show, for your next crazy warm-up arena. I know I get a bit thingy in some warm-up arenas because there's just a lot going on, but yeah, the trick is to just be calm and have a plan, and yeah, you should be alright. But yes, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you soon for the next one. Bye guys.